The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the alien observatory. Zartuk, the lead scientist of the Galactic Alliance, peered through the advanced telescope. His 6 eyes blinked rapidly as he focused on a small cluster of objects moving through the darkness. "What is that?" he muttered, his tentacles twitching with curiosity. His assistant, Gloop, slithered over. "What did you find, sir?" Zartuk adjusted the telescope. "It appears to be ships, very small ships." Gloop's gelatinous body rippled with excitement. "A new species." "Perhaps," Zartuk said. He tapped a few buttons on the control panel. "Computer, identify the origin of those vessels." The computer beeped and whirred. After a moment, it spoke. "Ships originate from planet Earth, 3rd planet in the Sol system." Zartuk's eyes widened. "Earth? That primitive planet we discovered a few cycles ago." Gloop bounced up and down. "Oh, how exciting. They've developed space travel." Zartuk laughed, a sound like rocks in a blender. "Look at the size of those ships. They're so tiny." Word spread quickly through the Galactic Alliance. Soon, every alien race was talking about the little Earth fleet venturing into deep space. They shared pictures and videos, each one more amused than the last. On the main planet of the Alliance, the Council gathered. Leaders from 100 different species sat in a giant circular room. They looked at the images of Earth's ships on a big screen. "These humans think they can join us in space," one leader said, his scales shimmering with laughter. Another leader, with 4 arms and blue skin, chuckled. "Their ships are smaller than our pleasure yachts." The head of the council, a wise old alien named Silox, raised a hand for quiet. Now, he said in a deep, gurgling voice. "Let's not be too hasty. We should welcome them." "Welcome them?" A bird-like alien squawked. "Why bother?" Silox smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "It's only polite. Besides, it might be amusing." The council agreed. They would send a message to the Earth fleet, inviting them to the Alliance's main space station for a friendly meeting. Meanwhile, aboard the lead ship of Earth's fleet, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge. She was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. Her uniform was crisp and neat, showing her rank and importance. "Admiral," her second-in-command said, "we're receiving a transmission." Chen nodded. "Put it on screen." The main view screen flickered to life. An alien face appeared, all tentacles and eyes. "Greetings, humans," it said in a bubbly voice. "We are the Galactic Alliance. We've noticed your charming little fleet and would like to invite you to our main station." Chen's eyes narrowed slightly at the patronizing tone, but she kept her voice neutral. "Thank you for the invitation. We accept." The alien smiled, or at least Chen thought it was a smile. "Wonderful. We'll send you the coordinates. Don't worry if you can't make it all the way. We understand if your tiny ships have limitations." The screen went dark. Chen turned to her crew, who all looked a mix of excited and offended. "Well," she said, a small smile on her face, "it seems we have a lot to prove." As Earth's fleet changed course for the Galactic Alliance station, news of their arrival spread even further. Aliens from all over the galaxy rushed to the station, eager to see the cute human ships. Little did they know, Admiral Chen and her crew had a few surprises in store. The humans might be new to deep space, but they were far from helpless. And soon, very soon, the Galactic Alliance would learn not to judge a species by the size of its ships. As the Earth fleet approached the massive space station, Chen stood tall on her bridge. "All right, everyone," she said to her crew. "Let's show these aliens what humanity is really capable of." The adventure was just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Earth fleet approached the massive Galactic Alliance space station. It looked like a giant metal flower floating in space, with long petal-like structures stretching out from a central hub. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the ESS Horizon, watching the alien structure grow larger on the view screen. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Park, Chen's communications officer. Chen nodded. "And intimidating. Remember, everyone, we're representing all of humanity here. Stay sharp." As the Earth ships neared the docking area, they were dwarfed by the alien vessels surrounding them. Massive cruisers and sleek battleships made the human fleet look like toys in comparison. A voice crackled over the comm system. "Earth vessels, please proceed to docking Bay 42. Try not to scratch anything with your quaint little ships." Chen's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice calm. "Understood. Station control. Proceeding to docking Bay 42. The docking process went smoothly, despite the condescending instructions from the alien traffic controllers. As the airlock sealed and the atmosphere equalized, Chen turned to her crew. "Remember your training," she said. "We're diplomats now, not just soldiers. Let's show them what humanity is made of." The Earth delegation, led by Admiral Chen, stepped onto the station. They were immediately surrounded by a crowd of aliens of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Many were pointing and laughing. Some were taking pictures with strange devices. A tall, purple-skinned alien with 4 arms approached them. "Welcome, humans," it said in a booming voice. "I am Zixnar, Chief Diplomat of the Galactic Alliance. We're so pleased you could make it." Chen stepped forward, extending her hand. "Thank you for your welcome, Chief Diplomat Zixnar. I'm Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth." Zixnar looked at Chen's outstretched hand with confusion, then tentatively touched it with one of his lower arms. "How quaint," he muttered. "Please, follow me to the council chamber. Try not to get lost. It's much bigger than your little ships." As they walked through the station's massive corridors, Chen and her team tried to take in everything they saw. Incredible technology was everywhere. Hovering robots, holographic displays, and devices they couldn't even begin to understand. In the council chamber, representatives from hundreds of alien species sat in tiered seating around a central platform. Chen and her team were led to the center, feeling very small and exposed. Psylocke, the head of the council, spoke first. "Welcome, humans. We're all very interested in your presence here." Chen stood tall, her voice clear and strong. "Thank you, esteemed council. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn from you and share what we know." A ripple of laughter went through the chamber. "Share what you know." A bird-like alien squawked. "What could you possibly teach us?" Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. "We may be new to deep space travel, but humanity has much to offer. Our art, our music, our unique perspective." "Art? Music?" interrupted another council member, a blob-like creature. "We're talking about advanced technology, little human. What do you know of warp drives, quantum communications, Dyson spheres?" Chen tried to respond, but the council members talked over her, each one listing technologies that made Earth's greatest achievements seem like stone tools in comparison. As the laughter and dismissive comments grew louder, Chen felt her patience wearing thin. She glanced at her team, seeing the frustration and anger in their eyes. Finally, she'd had enough. "Quiet," she shouted, her voice echoing through the chamber. Silence fell, every alien eye, or sensory organ, fixed on her in shock. "You invited us here," Chen said, her voice low and intense. "You claim to be an advanced, civilized alliance of species, yet you mock and belittle us simply because we're different. Where I come from, that's not the mark of an advanced civilization." The silence stretched on, broken only by a few nervous alien whispers. Psylocke leaned forward, his many eyes blinking rapidly. "You dare speak to us this way? Perhaps we overestimated your species' intelligence." Chen stood her ground. "And perhaps we overestimated your species' wisdom. If this is how the Galactic Alliance treats newcomers, maybe humanity is better off on its own." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Zixnar stepped forward, his 4 hands waving frantically. Now, let's not be hasty. Perhaps we got off on the wrong appendage. Surely we can find a way to test your species' worth. Chen's eyes glinted. A test? What did you have in mind? Xylox and the other council members huddled together, whispering furiously. Finally, Xylox turned back to Chen. Very well, human. We propose a challenge. If you can prove your worth, we'll reconsider your place in the galactic community. If not, he let the threat hang in the air. Chen nodded slowly. We accept your challenge, whatever it may be. As she and her team were led out of the council chamber, Chen couldn't help but smile. The aliens had no idea what they were in for. Humanity had faced long odds before, and they always came out on top. The real test was about to begin, and Earth was ready to show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. Admiral Sarah Chen and her team stood in a large circular room aboard the Galactic Alliance space station. The walls were covered with strange, glowing symbols, and in the center was a holographic display of what looked like a star system. Xylox, the head of the council, floated into the room, his tentacles waving gently. Humans, he gurgled, we have decided on your challenge. Chen crossed her arms. We're listening. Xylox gestured to the holographic display. This is the Zida 9 system. It's been causing us problems. The hologram zoomed in on a planet orbiting a red dwarf star. Strange, dark shapes moved across its surface. The Zorgans, Xylox continued, a warlike species that has resisted all our attempts at peaceful contact. They've begun raiding nearby systems, and we need to stop them. Chen raised an eyebrow. And you want us to do what, exactly? Xylox's many eyes blinked in sequence. Simple. Stop the Zorgan threat. You have one standard galactic week. Lieutenant Park, Chen's communications officer, stepped forward. 1 week? To stop an entire species. That's impossible. Zixnar, the purple four-armed diplomat, laughed. For us, perhaps, but you humans claim to be so special. Surely this is a simple task for such an advanced species. Chen held up a hand to quiet her team's protests. And if we succeed, if you succeed, Xylox said, you'll earn a place in the Galactic Alliance. If you fail, he shrugged his gelatinous shoulders. Well, I suppose you can go back to your little planet and play with your toy ships. Chen nodded slowly. We accept your challenge. As they left the room, Chen's team exploded with questions and concerns. Admiral, this is crazy. Lieutenant Park said. We can't possibly. We can, Chen interrupted. And we will. She turned to face her team. Listen up. This isn't just about us anymore. This is about Earth, about humanity. We need to show these aliens what we're made of. Back on the ESS horizon, Chen gathered her top officers in the strategy room. The holographic display from the station had been transferred to their ship, showing the Zida 9 system in detail. All right, people, Chen said. We've got 1 week to stop an alien invasion. Ideas. Commander Rodriguez, the tactical officer, spoke up. We're outnumbered and outgunned. A direct confrontation would be suicide. Agreed, Chen said. So we need to think outside the box. What do we know about these organs? Dr. Lee, the science officer, pulled up some data on her tablet. Not much. The Alliance database says they're silicon-based life forms, highly aggressive, with technology slightly more advanced than ours. Chen paced around the room. Silicon-based. That's interesting. What else? Their ships use some kind of energy shield, Rodriguez added. Our weapons might not even scratch them. Chen stopped pacing, a small smile on her face. Energy shields, huh? Dr. Lee, what happens when you supercool silicon? Dr. Lee's eyes widened. It becomes brittle, almost like glass. Exactly, Chen said. And what happens to energy when it gets too cold? Rodriguez caught on. It dissipates. Admiral, are you thinking what I think you're thinking? Chen's smile grew wider. Oh yes, we're going to give these Zorgans the cold shoulder. Literally. Over the next few days, the Earth fleet worked tirelessly. They modified their ship's environmental systems to create powerful cryo beams. They developed new tactics, practiced maneuvers that would have been considered insane back on Earth. All the while, the aliens watched and laughed. They placed bets on how quickly the humans would fail, on whether they'd run away or be destroyed by the Zorgans. But Chen and her crew ignored the mockery. They had a plan, and they were determined to see it through. On the sixth day, as they made final preparations, Chen addressed her fleet. "Men and women of Earth," she said, her voice firm and confident. "Tomorrow, we face our greatest challenge yet. The aliens think we'll fail. They've underestimated us at every turn. But we know better. We are humanity. We've faced impossible odds before, and we've always found a way. Tomorrow, we'll show the galaxy what humans can really do." A cheer went up from every ship in the fleet. The aliens watching from the station were puzzled. How could these tiny humans be so confident? As the Earth fleet prepared to jump to the Zida 9 system, Chen stood on the bridge of the horizon, a determined glint in her eye. "All right," she said. "Let's go make history." The ship's engines hummed to life, and in a flash of light, they were gone. The challenge had begun, and the fate of humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance. The Earth fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Zida 9 system. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS horizon, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. The red dwarf star glowed ominously, and around it, dozens of Zorgan ships patrolled. "Status report," Chen ordered. Lieutenant Park's fingers flew over his console. "All ships present and accounted for, Admiral. No damage from the jump." Chen nodded. "Good. Now let's see what we're up against." As if on cue, the sensors lit up. Commander Rodriguez let out a low whistle. "Admiral, I'm counting at least 50 Zorgan warships. Each one is 3 times the size of our largest vessel." A tense silence fell over the bridge. Chen could feel the weight of her crew's eyes on her. She took a deep breath. "Remember the plan," she said, her voice steady. "Size isn't everything. Dr. Lee, are the cryo beams ready?" Dr. Lee looked up from her station. "Yes, Admiral. But we'll need to get close for them to be effective." Chen's lips curved into a small smile. "Then let's go introduce ourselves." She opened a channel to the rest of the fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Commence Operation Icebox. Good luck, and Godspeed." The Earth fleet sprang into action. They split into 3 groups, each targeting a different section of the Zorgan fleet. The Horizon led the charge, heading straight for the largest Zorgan ship. At first, the Zorgans seemed confused by the tiny Earth vessels approaching them. Their massive ships turned slowly, energy weapons charging. "They're powering up their weapons," Rodriguez reported. "Shields at maximum." The first volley from the Zorgan ships lit up space. Energy beams larger than the Earth ships themselves lanced out. But Chen was ready. "Evasive maneuvers," she ordered. "Pattern Delta 3. The Earth fleet moved like a swarm of angry bees, darting and weaving between the massive energy beams. A few glancing blows rocked the ships, but their shields held. "We're in range," Dr. Lee called out. Cryo beams charged and ready. Chen's eyes narrowed. Fire. Beams of intense cold shot out from the Earth ships, enveloping the nearest Zorgan vessels. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Zorgans continued firing, their energy shields shimmering. Then, slowly, the shimmering stopped. Patches of the Zorgan ships began to frost over. "It's working," Rodriguez exclaimed. "Their shields are failing." Chen allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. "All ships, concentrate fire on the frosted areas. Let's crack these nuts open." The Earth fleet's more conventional weapons now came into play. Missiles and energy pulses slammed into the weakened sections of the Zorgan ships. One by one, the massive alien vessels began to break apart. But the Zorgans weren't going down without a fight. As their larger ships faltered, swarms of smaller craft poured out. They were fast, agile, and very, very angry. "Fighters incoming," Park shouted. Hundreds of them. Chen gripped the arms of her command chair. "Stay calm. Stick to the plan. Rodriguez, deploy our secret weapon." Rodriguez grinned as he pressed a series of buttons. From the Earth ships, small objects began to launch. They looked like metal spheres, each about the size of a basketball. The Zorgan fighters ignored these strange projectiles, focusing their attacks on the Earth ships. But as they flew through the clouds of spheres, something odd happened. Their engines began to sputter and die. "EMP mines working perfectly," Rodriguez reported. "Zorgan fighters are dropping like flies." Chen nodded. "Good. Now let's finish this. All ships, push forward. Take out their command vessel." The Earth fleet surged ahead, their cryo beams blazing. The Zorgan command ship, a behemoth easily 10 times the size of the Horizon, tried to retreat. But it was too slow, too cumbersome. Layer by layer, its defenses were stripped away. Its weapons froze and shattered. Its hull cracked under the strain of extreme cold and targeted weapons fire. Finally, with a silent explosion that lit up the entire system, the Zorgan command ship split in two. A cheer went up on the Horizon's bridge. But Chen wasn't celebrating yet. "Status of the remaining Zorgan forces?" she asked. Park checked his readings. "They're retreating, Admiral. They're actually running away." Chen let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "Send a message to the Galactic Alliance. Tell them the Zorgan threat has been neutralized." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Chen looked out at her fleet. They had taken damage, yes, but they had won. Against all odds, humanity had proven itself. "Well done, everyone," she said, a rare smile on her face. "Let's go home." As the Earth fleet regrouped and prepared to jump back to the Alliance station, Chen couldn't help but wonder. What would the aliens think of their tiny fleet now? The Galactic Alliance space station was buzzing with excitement. Aliens of all shapes and sizes crowded around view screens, watching as the human fleet returned from their mission. No one could believe what they had just witnessed. Admiral Sarah Chen stood tall as she led her team back into the council chamber. The room was packed, with even more aliens than before. This time, there was no laughter, no mocking, just stunned silence. Xylox, the head of the council, floated forward. His many eyes blinked rapidly. "Admiral Chen," he said, his voice a mix of confusion and respect. You actually did it." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "We told you not to underestimate humanity." Zixnar, the purple four-armed diplomat, pushed through the crowd. "But how?" he demanded. "How did your tiny ships defeat the Zorgan fleet? It's impossible." Chen turned to her team. "Dr. Li, would you like to explain?" Dr. Li stepped forward, holding up a small device. "It's quite simple, really. We used the Zorgan's own biology against them. As silicon-based life forms, they're vulnerable to extreme cold. Our cryo beams exploited that weakness." A murmur ran through the chamber. Aliens turned to each other, whispering in amazement. "But the fighters," another council member chittered. "They swarmed you. How did you survive?" This time, Commander Rodriguez spoke up. "EMP mines," he said with a grin. "Electromagnetic pulses. Turns out, Zorgan tech isn't shielded against them. Who knew?" The chamber erupted in chatter. Aliens were shouting questions, demanding to see the human technology, arguing among themselves about the implications of this victory. Xylox raised his tentacles for silence. When the room quieted, he turned back to Chen. "Admiral," he said, his voice solemn, we may have misjudged your species." Chen nodded. "That's putting it mildly." "Perhaps," Xylox continued, We should reconsider humanity's place in the galactic community. Suddenly, a new voice boomed through the chamber. Reconsider? We should be begging them to join us. The crowd parted to reveal a massive, rock-like alien. It was General Korg, leader of the Alliance's military forces. Korg stomped forward, each step shaking the floor. He stopped in front of Chen, looking down at her with his crystalline eyes. "Admiral," he rumbled, "in all my cycles, I've never seen such tactics, such adaptability. You turned the Zorgan's strengths into weaknesses. It was beautiful." Chen stood her ground, meeting Korg's gaze. "Thank you, General. We simply did what we had to do." Korg turned to the council. "Don't you see?" he boomed. "These humans, they're not just some primitive species. They're innovators, warriors. They could revolutionize our entire approach to galactic defense." The chamber buzzed with excitement. Aliens were nodding, gesturing enthusiastically. Even Xylox seemed swayed. "Perhaps," Xylox said slowly, "we should put it to a vote. All in favor of offering humanity full membership in the Galactic Alliance, raise your appendages." The room was a sea of raised tentacles, arms, wings, and other alien limbs. It was unanimous. Xylox turned back to Chen, extending a tentacle. "Admiral Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I officially invite humanity to join our ranks. Will you accept?" Chen looked at her team, saw the pride in their eyes. She thought of Earth, of all the people back home who had worked so hard to get them here. Then she reached out and grasped Xylox's tentacle. "We accept," she said firmly. The chamber erupted in cheers. Aliens rushed forward, eager to congratulate the humans, to ask questions, to offer alliances. In the midst of it all, Chen felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Lieutenant Park. "Admiral," he said, grinning from ear to ear, "I just received a message from Earth. They want to know if we need reinforcements." Chen couldn't help it. She laughed. "Tell them the situation is under control, but they might want to prepare for some visitors. I have a feeling Earth is about to become very popular in the galaxy." As the celebrations continued around them, Chen and her team shared a moment of quiet pride. They had done it. Against all odds, they had proven humanity's worth to the galaxy. And this, they all knew, was just the beginning. The news of humanity's victory over the Zorgans spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, the Galactic Alliance space station was swarming with curious aliens from every corner of known space. They all wanted to see the amazing humans who had accomplished the impossible. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on a balcony overlooking the station's main plaza. Below her, a sea of alien faces looked up in awe. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "Friends, allies, members of the Galactic Alliance," she said, her voice echoing through the station. "On behalf of Earth and all of humanity, I thank you for this warm welcome." The crowd cheered, a cacophony of alien sounds that was both strange and wonderful. "Many of you doubted us," Chen continued. "You called our ships tiny, our technology primitive. But we showed you that size isn't everything. That sometimes, the most powerful weapon is right here." She tapped her forehead. In the front row, Xylox nodded slowly, his tentacles waving in agreement. "Humans have a saying," Chen said. "Necessity is the mother of invention. When faced with a challenge, we adapt. We innovate. We overcome." As she spoke, holographic displays lit up around the plaza. They showed images of Earth's history: the Wright brothers' first flight, the moon landing, the Mars colonies. "This is who we are," Chen said, gesturing to the images. "Explorers, dreamers, problem solvers. And now we're ready to bring that spirit to the stars." The crowd was silent, hanging on her every word. Suddenly, a small tentacled alien near the front raised an appendage. But how did you defeat the Zorgans so easily?" it squeaked. Chen smiled. "It wasn't easy. But we studied our enemy. We found their weakness. And then we worked together to exploit it. She nodded to Dr. Lee, who stepped forward with a holographic projector. With a few taps, a 3D model of the cryobeam appeared in the air. "This is our cryobeam technology," Dr. Lee explained. "It generates extreme cold, which was particularly effective against the silicon-based Zorgans." The crowd murmured in amazement. Several aliens took notes on strange, glowing devices. Commander Rodriguez stepped up next. He held up one of the EMP mines. "And this," he said, "is what took out their fighters. A simple electromagnetic pulse. Sometimes, the old tricks are the best tricks." General Korg, the massive rock-like alien, let out a booming laugh. "Brilliant," he shouted. "Simply brilliant." Chen raised her hands for quiet. "But here's the most important part," she said. "We're willing to share this technology with the Alliance, to work together to make the galaxy a safer place for all species." The plaza erupted in cheers. Aliens were hugging each other, waving their various appendages in excitement. Tylox floated up to join Chen on the balcony. "Admiral," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "you continue to amaze us. This generosity, it's unprecedented." Chen turned to him. "That's another thing about humans, Tylox. We believe in cooperation, in unity. Alone, we're strong. Together, we're unstoppable." As the celebration continued below, a group of alien scientists approached Dr. Lee, eager to learn more about human technology. Commander Rodriguez found himself surrounded by military leaders from a dozen different species, all wanting to discuss strategy. And in a quiet corner of the plaza, Lieutenant Park was having an animated conversation with a group of alien communication officers. They were comparing notes on different methods of faster-than-light communication. Chen watched it all with a sense of pride and wonder. This, she realized, was what humanity had been working towards all along. Not just reaching the stars, but becoming part of a larger community. As the day wore on, more and more aliens approached Chen. But now, instead of mockery or doubt, their eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, were filled with respect and admiration. "You know," one alien said, "its skin shifting through a rainbow of colors. We used to think your ships were small, but now we see, it's not the size of the ship that matters. It's the size of the ideas inside it." Chen smiled. "Welcome to the human way of thinking," she said. "Now let's see what we can accomplish together." As night fell on the station, the celebration showed no sign of stopping. Humanity had not just earned its place in the galaxy, it had revolutionized it. And this, Chen knew, was only the beginning of their grand adventure among the stars. 1 year had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Alliance. The Earth fleet, once mocked for its size, now stood proud among the largest ships in the galaxy. But it wasn't the size that mattered, it was the innovation inside. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, now twice its original size thanks to alien technology. She looked out at the stars, marveling at how much had changed. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park called from his station. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's the President." Chen nodded. "Put her through." The view screen lit up, showing the face of Earth's leader. "Admiral Chen," the President said, smiling. "How goes our galactic adventure?" Chen couldn't help but smile back. "Better than we ever imagined, Madam President. The Alliance has embraced our ideas wholeheartedly." "Excellent," the President replied. "And how is the Zorgan situation?" "Surprisingly good," Chen said. "After we defeated their fleet, we opened diplomatic channels. Turns out, they're not so bad when they're not trying to conquer everyone." The President laughed. "Leave it to humans to make friends with their former enemies." "Any other news?" Chen was about to respond when an alarm sounded. Commander Rodriguez quickly checked his console. "Admiral," he said, his voice urgent, "we're detecting a massive energy signature at the edge of the system. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Chen turned back to the view screen. "Madam President, I'm afraid I'll have to call you back. Duty calls." As the transmission ended, Chen barked out orders. All hands to battle stations. Park, contact the Alliance. Rodriguez, get me a visual. The main view screen changed, showing a strange, swirling vortex of energy. From its center, enormous ships began to emerge. They were unlike anything Chen had ever seen. Part organic, part machine, and absolutely massive. By the stars, Dr. Lee whispered. What are they? Before anyone could respond, a transmission came through. The being on the screen was bizarre. A shifting mass of tentacles and metal. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Inhabitants of this galaxy, it boomed. We are the Confluence. Your time has come to an end. Surrender or be annihilated. Chen's mind raced. This threat was beyond anything they had faced before, but she knew they couldn't give up. Park, she said, get me a line to every Alliance ship in the sector. Rodriguez, prepare our new weapons. Lee, I need you to analyze their ships. Find a weakness. As her crew sprang into action, Chen opened a channel to the Alliance fleet. Faces of various alien species appeared on the screen, all looking worried. Friends, Chen said, her voice firm. We face a threat unlike any we've seen before. But remember, a year ago, you thought humans were too small, too weak to matter. We proved you wrong then, and we'll prove these invaders wrong now. She paused, looking at each face on the screen. Humans have a saying, united we stand, divided we fall. Let's show the Confluence what happens when the galaxy stands together. A cheer went up from every ship. Chen saw determination replace fear in the aliens' eyes. As the Confluence ships approached, the Alliance fleet moved into formation. Human ingenuity, Zorgan strength, Sargan speed, and dozens of other species' unique abilities all came together. Chen took a deep breath. All ships, she said, engage. The battle that followed would be talked about for generations. The Confluence was powerful, but they had never faced a force like this. Dozens of species, fighting as one, each contributing their unique strengths. Human cryo beams froze Confluence weapons. Zorgan heat rays melted through their hulls. Sargan speed demons darted between the massive ships, planting EMP devices, and at the center of it all was the ESS Horizon, Chen coordinating the entire battle with a skill that left even her own crew in awe. Hours passed. The Confluence fought hard, but slowly, surely, they began to fall back. Finally, with a flash of light, the last of their ships retreated back through the vortex. As the Alliance fleet cheered, Chen slumped in her chair, exhausted but triumphant. She looked around at her crew, seeing the same mix of fatigue and pride on their faces. We did it, she said softly. We really did it. Park turned to her, grinning. Admiral, we're getting transmissions from all over the galaxy. They're calling us heroes. They're calling humanity the guardians of the galaxy. Chen laughed. Guardians of the galaxy. I like the sound of that. As the fleet began the journey home, Chen looked out at the stars once more. A year ago, these stars had seemed so far away, so out of reach. Now, they were home. Humanity had found its place in the universe. They had faced the impossible and triumphed. And whatever challenges the future might bring, Chen knew one thing for certain. They would face them together, as part of their new galactic family. The adventure, it seemed, was just beginning.